We will die if we don't get air, right? That's the first thing that will get us. Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. I would like to talk about a general subject because a lot of people complaining about not being able to keep their houseplant alive or vigorous, and they wish their garden grows a little bit better, and they're worrying about killing their bonsai trees. So I want to talk about 5 tricks or 5 principles on how to keep your trees healthy and vigorously growing. So let me touch upon the principle first before I get into specifics. The principles of growing a tree is no different from keeping ourselves alive and healthy. Just think of a human being. We will die if we don't get air, right? That's the first thing that will get us. The second thing we don't get is actually water. And the third thing is that we will die if we don't get enough food. I think you can survive for 5 minutes without air, I guess. Maybe 5 days without water. Certainly we can survive 30 days or more without food. And the trees are really the same. The most important aspect of survival for trees is actually water, because there's ample air, and assuming the soil is not totally clayey, there's always enough air in the soil. As the water evaporates, air fills the gap to keep the tree from drying out. And there's also the many concepts about, overwatering the tree. So I'll cover all of these, but basically what I'm saying is we need to think about water, air, light, soil mix, and fertilizer. Those are the 5 things that we need to take into consideration about keeping our trees in a garden or our house plant or bonsai healthy and alive and growing well. I like to promote this because I think the bonsai heirloom bonsais are executed very properly in a patent-pending plot, as well as a proprietary soil mix that's been optimized. So they can, with an easy maintenance schedule or methodology, you can easily keep your bonsai for many, many years to become your legacy and your heirloom. Many of my trees, I've been working on them for over 50 years. So with that in mind, let me get into more specifics. First of all, begin your bonsai with a vision, or begin the choosing of your house plant or your garden tree with a vision of what you want it to end up to be. So let me tell you, when I built this home 26 years ago now, I actually took the trouble, went to UC Davis to look at, because they have a very nice small but nice botanical garden, to see what kind of tree will grow well in my garden. And when I went there, what I found is that the overwhelming anchor tree is actually Chinese hackberry tree. I never thought of a hackberry using hackberry, but so that's what I planted. So like the tree behind me started with a seed outside of my apartment about 27 years ago, and now how tall it is probably 60 feet tall. And so you want to begin with the end in mind, because you can go to a nursery center and look at a really nice, beautiful green trees, and it's nice. But it will forever be nice, but never be magnificent. Some other trees, they look okay, a little sparse and so forth, but it will age with grace. That's the same with bonsai. Begin with the end in mind to what you want your garden to look like, your house plant to look like. Is it going to a big one or a little one on my table or what? And then choose the right material. So choosing the right material is a number one. I didn't put it as a criteria because the subject is about keeping them alive. I think the Chinese hackberry is a good example. For bonsai, I would recommend that you start with traditional material. Japanese maple, Japanese black pine, Chinese elm, Zelkova, trident maple, etc., etc. These are standard material that's proven to become magnificent bonsai. And then I also encourage to reach out, experimenting indigenous trees, material that are in your local area. Would be wonderful if you feedback to us what really worked for you over the years. This can enrich the knowledge of this bonsai heirloom community. So I encourage to experiment as well. But before you do that, manage to learn from the traditional material to do them really well and then expand. Always begin with something small but wonderful in mind, so you know what excellence is all about. Let's move on to each one of the important ingredients. One is water, air, light, soil, fertilizer. So for water, basically the rule for bonsai is really, really simple. One rule for houseplants and bonsai, it's less so in the garden, is to never let the root ball dry out. If the root ball dried out, it's almost impossible to rejuvenate it, because when you water the plant the water runs out, it doesn't get water. The tree actually doesn't get water. So the rules is really simple. Occasionally touch the soil level, the top of the soil, to see if it's moist and supple. When it's dry, it's hard. And if you really want to be scientific and technical about it, you can buy a digital moisture measurement thing. You don't need to, just touch it with your finger. That's a good sensor. Then you have a variety of ways of doing it. You can set up a drip system. The good news is that you can set up multiple drip with no work. The downside is if it's clogged and if there's a malfunction, you may be in trouble. So I still think the hand method is a really good one, and figure out a way to soak it when you go on vacation. That's it as far as watering goes. It's a very, water once a day, twice a day, every other day or whatever, so long as it's moist. Don't think of it watering as a chore, but as a pleasurable, relaxing, nurturing thing that you're doing. Then you will not feel like that you are, being enslaved to it. What else do I need to say about watering? I think that's pretty much it. In terms of air, there's a lot of worry about overwatering. You hear that all the time. It is really hard to overwater. Just imagine a tree in nature can be rained on for 3 months at a time, and assuming the soil is reasonably drainage, it will never die, because as the water recedes or evaporates, it's filled with air. The only way you would drown a tree is to let it sit in rancid water, which you never want to do. So, for example, you can put it in a tub of water and let it stand for a couple of weeks, and it will be really smelly and lack oxygen, and that can cause the roots to rot. So the air is essential, and then, of course, you do that by using a standard soil mix that's somewhat porous, so that it will absorb moisture and also porous to let the air in when the water evaporates. The next one is light. There are a lot of questions about the amount of sunlight, the exposure, where do I put my bonsai? Do I take my bonsai in the house, in the full sun? Well, the rules is very simple. To keep the tree healthy and growing rapidly, you balance the photolysis with the rate of evaporation. The tree actually grows most vigorously in full sun. If it's full sun and there's not enough water to supply the moisture, then the leaf would dry out and get burned. So that is not optimization. So in that situation, if you use very loose soil mix and you want the tree to grow fast, then you probably should put it in a shade or under some shade cloth. So there is the balance between photolysis and evaporation. It's the amount of photolysis of the sun exposure that expands the growth of the tree. A little caveat, I'm no biologist. I'm a PhD in engineering. What I'm saying is all based on years of observation and experience and by reading material. So take with what I say with a grain of salt, but extrapolate to your own situation, your own environment. The next is soil mix. Soil is actually not that important, although everybody seems to make a very big deal of it. It is important assuming it has the basic ingredients, which is porosity, water absorption, and water retention capability. Because the porosity, water evaporates or leach out, air will come in to fill the gap, which is good for the root health. Aside from that, anything goes. Just imagine hydroponic is like growing in clean water with nothing at all, no soil, and it grows fine. The same with putting in pumice or lava rock. It's the same. That's really hydroponic. Our standard mix is our soil, really wonderful sandy loam soil from Pescadero, plus perlite, and plus either peat moss or coconut coir. Lastly, it's about fertilizer. Well, when you talk about fertilizer, a simple rule is never over-fertilize, because if it's too much nitrogen, it can cause the roots to burn and then not so healthy. Using recommended recipe sparingly, maybe half strength, but more frequency. The second one is that when in doubt, fertilize less. So let's talk about fertilizer. Basically, there are several categories of fertilizer. One is the commercial fertilizer you use for your lawn and all that. They're fine. They tend to go into the soil right away, using them sparingly and spread them out. The second class is commercial fertilizer that are slow release. They're actually very good. You can put quite a bit in it per instruction again, and it will release slowly and keep the tree healthy. And that's how many of the houseplant you buy is actually grown with abundance of a slow-release fertilizer. I tell you a funny story. When I moved into this house, so when we first bought this piece of land, I lamented this oak tree about this size, about 18 feet tall. And I lamented I would never see a mature oak tree on my property. And I got impatient and put half a bag of slow-release lawn food around the tree, not near the roots. And guess what? How big the tree is today? I would say it's about 5 feet across, no exaggeration, 2 branches, a double trunk. Because oak tree, my first slow-release fertilizer stimulated the growth, and when the taproot hits the groundwater, it just really takes off. So slow-release fertilizer is good. And then there's a whole array of kind of organic, in a sense, decay material for bonsai. I like to use 2 things. One is chicken manure pellets, and then the other one is fermented, essentially, fish fertilizer with kelp, both of which you can get from Amazon. So let me talk about manure in general, just for the fun of it. There's cow manure, and I'll give you a story about cow manure. When I was visiting the Kew Garden in England, the famous garden in England, turns out it was near a army barrack where they use probably ceremonial horses. When I was visiting, their soldiers take carload of horse manure to put in the Kew Garden. So that's why Kew Garden is so vigorously growing with the horse manure. The second one I'll talk about is cow manure. I was driving through Oregon to look for plant material for my garden design and drove by a big slaughterhouse holding pen. And they were literally taking chutes to shoot cow manure into the open field to fertilize the open field. It's really almost funny because it's so smelly, but they do it. So that's cow manure. And then chicken manure is what I use, and that is really good stuff. But without going to extreme, you can use bat manure. That's really supposed to be the most rich in nitrogen and phosphate because they eat fish, which in some sense is using decaying fish. Chicken manure is actually very clean. It's almost odorless. You can handle it with your hand or with glove. And what I do is I put water in it so it would break up into mush. And then I spread it over my bonsai. Or just if I don't worry about it, I just spread the chicken manure pellets. It's not smelly. And literally, you can see the tree grow immediately almost. It's got a lot of nitrogen without burning. So I recommend that very highly. I fertilize my bonsai every other week with, now it's cooling off, every other week with fish and kelp, and also once a month with the chicken manure. About 1 pellet per inch, kind of a distribution. And they do super well. Now, back to cow manure and so forth. Of course, remember, all the vegetables in Asia are grown on human manure. What they do is they put it in a big pond and let it age, and then they scoop out and put a lot of water in it to water their garden, vegetable garden or vegetable farm. So manure is a very good fertilizer, but one thing you have to remember is that many of these animals require salt to stay healthy, like cow. They provide them salt lick so that their manure is basically salty, and plants don't like salt generally. So with that in mind, then make sure they are aged properly, that is sitting out in the rain or water so that the salt is leached out from them. I think for most city dwellers, cow and horse manure is a little bit out of the question. But chicken manure, you can order online or go to your nursery supply house to get them. Couple caveats. One is that the manure they sell is mixed with a compost. So the amount of manure you get is very little. That reminds me of telling you about soil mix. You know, when you think about it, there's so many trees cut off from cities and from gardens, and the city has to find ways to dispose of them. So one way of disposing organic material, be it from the sewer or from your garden cuttings, is to turn them into planting material as fertilizer. So I hate to say this, but it's really a way of getting rid of junk, to push on consumer with, in some sense, bad promotional information. I found the bags of compost really very good. They are very porous and a lot of organic material, but it's really hard to keep them watered. So what I would suggest that if you're living in the city, it's hard to find organic material, hard to find soil. Well, just get any garden soil, 1 part garden soil and 1 part the commercial planter makes for houseplants, and you will be in great shape. And finally, how to apply what I said into all these 3 areas, bonsai, houseplant, and gardening. Houseplant, I'm just saying, keep it water. Put a basin under the water, so when you water it, even when the root balls dry out, it will go down to the basin and get set up gradually to keep the root ball moist. The same thing with bonsai. One of my videos talk about putting in tubs to keep my bonsai wet, and they are doing super well. So that's another thing about bonsai. But for gardening, water regularly, and the tree will regulate itself. If you water once a week or once a month, the tree will adjust to that by having the deep tap roots. In the beginning of planting a tree, nurture it by watering every few days or every week or two. But once it's established, the tree are in good shape so long as you follow a regular scheduling. So I've given you quite a few tips and principles about keeping your trees alive, be it it's a house plant, bonsai, or garden plants, or orchids, succulents. They're all the same. The same principle applies. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like, and given it's of a general nature, please pass on to a friend. I like to gain audience. Why not? You know, and that's the purpose of this video, to create a big community. And please subscribe to our channel and send us an email address so we can notify you of availability and so forth. I want to make it a very personal thing to have a communication channel with you to keep you posted about thinking as we learn new things. So thank you very much. I'll see you next week.